And today I'm going to teach you how to formulate the perfect practice plan. And we're going to do that by introducing what makes a good practice plan, what you should be practicing. And then we're going to deep dive into it and teach you how to practice some of these things. Now, this is a live stream follow-up to a video I did recently under the same name, which is basically what you need to practice this every day if you're a beginner. That's what it's called. And so we are going to kind of take what we learned in that lesson. I'm going to review some of it. And then we're even going to give you a little bit more information on certain things like sight reading so that you are better equipped to deal with them in the future. Now, hello and good morning. Hold on, everybody. Let's get this in here. Just give me a second. There we go. Now we're all set up. So hello to everybody in the chat. Feel free to let me know anything you have to say, any questions you have along the way. Hello, Michael. Hello, Mark. Good morning. All right, let's get started here with what we have today. So we're talking about setting up the perfect practice plan. And I talked about in the video I told you about, which I'll link you in the description, I talked about some warm-ups that you should start with as a beginner, because if you don't start with these, then you may start in the wrong place. And let's just start out with the 5-finger exercise, just going over, basically what that is and how you should be practicing it as a beginner. And again, if you're here live, let me know anything, any questions you have along the way. So 5-finger exercise, it's all about getting into the right position on the piano. And you do that by taking your leftmost finger, and we're going to start this in C position. So you put your leftmost finger on each hand on C, an octave apart, and then you put the rest of your fingers on the next consecutive notes. And all you do is you play from the bottom, and then bottom to the top, and then top to the bottom. And that's all you got to do. And I would do it over C position, over G. And again, it's just getting your hands on position. I would do it over D. You got to be careful you have an F sharp in there. And I would do it over A. Those are the ones I would start with. Of course, you can do starting on any note if you want. But I would start with C, G, D, and A to start out with. All right, guys, any questions so far? Those are the 5-finger exercises. Very easy, but I always like to introduce those first because all the exercises we're going to talk about after this are going to be related to it. So hello to X. I was playing Roblox, okay, and then the notification hit, clicked. Excellent. Glad you got notified today. YouTube doesn't always do that. Now let's move on to scales a little bit. Scales, like I said, builds on the concept of the 5-finger exercise. So we're starting on C again. Instead of just doing this, though, we're going to add in a finger cross after the third note, because the goal is now, instead of these 5 notes, we actually have to play from C all the way up to the next C to finish, because that is the scale. So we're going to hit our fingers 1, 2, 3. And when you do that, curl under with finger 1 here on the F. And then you're going to finish out the scale with 2, 3, 4, 5. And it takes a little getting used to, especially during this finger cross here. Because at first what you're going to do is you're going to overthink it. You're going to go, oh no, how do I cross under? And you're kind of tucking underneath while also moving your hand in the ascending direction like this. See how smooth that was? Didn't have to play it fast, but smooth is the way to go. Now coming back down the other way with the right hand, use up all 5 of your fingers, and then you finish up with 3, 2, 1. And again, as smooth as you possibly can with this. Speed is not the goal in the beginning. It's really just the smoothness and getting the technique down. Now, one thing I want to add to this, and we'll do the left hand in a second, is that a lot of times when we play our scales, we do them 2 octaves. So I want to talk a second about how to do that, because if you do it the old way that I just taught you, you won't be able to continue the scale. And here's how you do it. So you use fingers 1, 2, 3. You tuck under finger 1, 2, 3, 4, and then usually we hit 5 here, but you're actually going to cross one more time. Well, actually next to last time, because you still have to cross right here. So all we're adding in is, instead of finishing the scale on finger 5 right here, we're actually crossing, and that allows us to continue again. So I would just practice that C major scale 2 octaves to start out with, and I'll tell you how to learn the rest of them in a minute. Let's talk about the left hand real quick. It's the opposite. So use up all 5 of your fingers, and then you do 3, 2, 1. And again, you want to work on getting it as smooth as possible, right? Coming back down the other way, you use fingers 1, 2, 3, and then cross under with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the first scale you will learn. Actually, one more point I want to make about the scale real quick is that eventually you want to do it hands together. However, you got to be careful because the finger crossings hit in different places between each hand. So you're really going to have to slow down and really think like, okay, is there a finger cross here? Yes, there is. Is it right hand or left hand? It is right hand. And you just really got to take your time to work your way through the scale. All right, any questions about scales? Because I have something to show you. Because there's an order in which you want to learn the scales, okay? Let's bring this up. And again, I'm going to give some more context on some of this stuff as we go along. I may even do that right now. So let's just take a look. You want to pick up this book. It's called Scales, Chords, Arpeggios, and Cadences. It's an Alfred book. And good morning, Sylvia, by the way. Glad that you can make it with us today. One thing it does teach you about that I haven't mentioned a lot in these exercises are playing chords. And chords are pretty dang important because they appear in your music all the time. And they teach you about root position chords. So if a chord, and this is bonus material, by the way, this isn't even covered in the lesson I mentioned that I will link you to at the end. Okay, let me think about what I'm doing here. We want to bring up chords. Just give me a second, guys, because I want to explain this in a little more detail than I did in the video that I made. So let's do full screen. There we go. And then wait a minute for this to wake up this morning. Man, you know what? I really want to replace this laptop really bad, but I don't have the money right now because it's just so slow. But anyway, we're here. Just give me another couple of seconds, guys. Sorry. I didn't think I would want to dive deep into this, but I actually do. So just give me another second. But anyway, you're going to find chords in your music all the time, and they can appear in a few different versions of each chord, which is what I want to get into now. So let's zoom in here. And when you're just starting out, you don't necessarily have to practice all your chords right off the bat. I would just know what they are, right? So you know a chord right away, and there's a few different types. You know, we have this type of chord, and this is what we call a triad chord. And that's a 3-note chord, as you can probably figure out from there. Like a triceratops has 3 horns. Now, what I would understand about chords is this. First of all, they're either they can come in a few different forms, but the first thing I would pay attention to is, does the chord sound happy, sad, or tense? Because knowing the difference in the sounds will help you out later on, because you'll be playing chords and you'll be like, wait, that chord was supposed to sound like that instead. So knowing whether they sound happy or sad, happy, sad, tense, helps you kind of figure out whether it's major, which is happy, minor, sad, or diminished, which is tense. In this case, we have major. So I'd pay attention to the way they sound, but I'd also pay attention to the spacing of each. So pay attention to how this is written. It's written kind of like a snowman, evenly stacked, but they don't always appear like that. Sometimes they'll do this. So what I did was, now there's a gap towards the top of the chord, but we still have the same 3 notes, C, E, and G. So it's still a C major chord. It's just that we've put it in what's called an inversion. We've taken the C out of the bottom and moved it to the very top. And now we have this. So I learned to identify what's called root position, which is the first one I showed you. First inversion, where you have a larger gap towards the top of the chord right here. And then guess what's going to happen? We're going to invert it again by taking that bottom note. So we're here, we're taking this bottom note, we're taking it out, and we're moving it up an octave. And this time we have a larger gap towards the bottom of the chord. So for chords, I would just know what they are. They're kind of stacked notes on top of each other. The first type of chord you're going to learn is a triad. And triads can appear in root position, first inversion, or second inversion. And I would just know that to start out with. Okay, we have a question from Sylvia. This is related to scales, so we will tackle this now. Sylvia asks, when playing scales in 2 octaves, sometimes I make mistakes when playing back down on the left, which is very, very, very common, right? That's something a lot of us will run into, is when we're playing a scale, coming down with the left, we will tend to make maybe an unwise finger cross, at the wrong place. What I like to do is I always like to, for each hand, really pay attention to what finger hits with finger 4. So if you're playing the C major scale with the left hand and you're going up, finger 4 hit with what note? D, right? It was just the second note. And believe it or not, when you play the scale up octaves or down octaves, finger 4 will always be in the same place for each hand, with the right hand being B, actually. So how does this help you? Well, when you're coming down from the scale like so, you're coming down and say, you think to yourself, oh, is there a finger cross here? I'm not really sure, right? Well, remember, finger 4 with the left hand in this scale always hits with D. So therefore, I have to cross here because I can't hit that G with finger 4. That would mess the whole thing up. So I know that I have to cross here. And then when I'm coming down here, I'm like, oh, do I have to cross again? And no, you don't, because finger 4 is just naturally going to hit where it does. And I know it's a lot to kind of take in at first, but when you really think, where does finger 4 hit? For me, at least, it really helps me out with kind of double checking to make sure I have the right fingering or not. All right, very good question. All right, good. Or comment, I guess, that I kind of elaborated on. And then arpeggios is another thing. So I was talking about chords, right? And you can play chords as blocks, but you like this, all at once. Or you can play them notes separate, right? And we call that an arpeggio. And the important thing about arpeggios is that they're usually done multiple octaves. So you don't want to use the same fingering you did with the scales, which is just 1, 3, 5 or 5, 3, 1. Instead, you have to use 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because that gives you a better position to play up and down the scale. 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1 is the left. Now you may be saying, Tim, how in the world would I ever remember all that? Well, you could spend years memorizing it like I did and practicing it. Or actually, to do that, you need to buy this book, the complete book. It's the same book I told you about a minute ago, of scales, chords, arpeggios, and cadences. It has all the scales you need to know in the order you need to learn them. And it has the arpeggios as well. So I would pick up this book, which I will go in more detail about in a future video where I go over the books that you'll need. All right, any questions? What's arpeggio, says X. So as I mentioned a minute ago, instead of playing a note all together, we're just playing them separate, right? The notes of the chord. That's it. That's all an arpeggio is. And for every chord, like D major here, there's a D major arpeggio, because it makes sense. You're just playing the chord one note at a time. All right, so let's continue here, guys. And it says here, watch the full lesson, which I'm going to link you to at the end, to learn about all the warm-ups you need to know. Now, one thing I do want to say, I guess to kind of, well, I have some announcements at the end. The next thing is I'm beginning to work on the next 4 live streams after this one. And there's going to be some interesting things we're going to be trying out to make things a little more interactive even. Oh, I skipped the slide. Sorry, guys. Okay, I have some tips about learning pieces. So write these down or, screen cap this picture. One thing I want to tell you about is you should be learning one piece that you enjoy playing. And the next one is you should be practicing a piece that challenges you for a little bit. And what that means is like, it's not entirely out of your reach. It doesn't have a bunch of stuff that you don't know, but it just has 1 or 2 things that you've never seen before. Like maybe you've never played a piece with a sharp in it. So maybe you want to find a piece that has a sharp. But I'll tell you this. Where is it? Where are you, book? It's hiding from me. Here it is. I found it. I was using it for something else. There it is. All right. This will help save you a lot of headaches. The Alfred All-in-One course. And no, I'm not just trying to sell these books, okay? They actually are highly recommended. And I have some courses over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, that you can use along with the book that'll help you learn even a lot better and a lot more. Now let's talk about this book for just a second, because I have to explain. This is what we want. I have to explain why it's good. Okay, so I said, remember what I just said. You want to be practicing a piece that you enjoy. And then you want to be practicing a piece that challenges you a little bit. Well, guess what? I recommend you buy one of these piano books and just start working through it, because what will happen is as you get towards like the middle of the book, you will find that you have a few pieces that you learned that you just kind of like a little bit more, right? And you kind of want to note down what pages they're on. And I would start your practice session, even if they're a little bit easier compared to where you're currently at. I would start your practice session from those pieces that you enjoy. And then what you do is you go to the page, say you just finished this page, and this is the new page. Well, this is perfect. You learn a new page, and that introduces you to something new, because the great thing about this book and the courses over on my website is that they introduce you to things in a specific order, which kind of just push you slightly out of your comfort zone each time. So this is a great resource to get. Of course, I don't want to deep dive into it right now because we're still in the learning phase, but I'll show you what it looks like anyway. Give me a second here, guys. And here's my my website. For my courses, you can feel free to read about what they can offer you. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it right now, like I said. And there's a fall sale going on right now. Also a great way to both invest in your own music education and the channel as well, because the money I make from this helps me better serve you. And we wouldn't be here after all these years without the community that we have. So anyway, let's continue, guys. I don't want to take up too much time with that, even though it is important for me to let you know about it. But anyway, I just know personally for me, when I see YouTubers and they over advertise all their stuff, it gets a little annoying for me. So like, I don't like doing that to you guys, even though sometimes it's appropriate, because, you know, if my courses can help you, then I should let you know. So question 1, I have a question for you guys. You guys have to answer this, or bad things will happen. I'm just kidding. Nothing will happen. But I'm only moving on until some of you answer it. But question 1 is, what is your biggest struggle when it comes to practicing piano? So whether you're a beginner, you're just starting out, and say you're like, I don't really get music theory, or say you've been learning for a while and you like, I don't really find time. This is the struggle that I have right now. I'm bad at making time consistently for piano practice. And mainly for me, this is an excuse. I've been working on piano videos, right? So at the end of the day, I get kind of tired and I don't want to spend the remaining time of my day at the piano because I already kind of have, in a sense. But that's just an excuse. Like, I just need to do a better job of it. So whatever your thing is that you struggle with, share with me, because this will help get a good discussion started. My biggest struggle is when I don't have a piano. Or you can tell a nice joke like that. I like that a lot. So what is your biggest struggle? We have to struggle with something. Just say whatever you struggle with. Do you struggle with music theory? What about sight reading? Oh, we got another one from Michael. Michael says, my biggest struggle, I think, right now is reading sheet music at the same time as trying to get better on the keys. That's a great idea for a video. That's why I asked these, by the way, because it gives me, well, it starts discussion amongst us students, and then it also lets me know what to do. Being consistent in daily practice, yes. In the Alfred Scale book on page 18, key is C major. Should we learn to play the scales parallel motion in octaves? Good question. Yeah, I would learn them parallel motion, meaning that you're playing the same note between each hand and playing them at least 2 octaves. If you can figure out, or if you can do all 4, not like it's that hard to figure out. I would do that, but I would start with 2. And then to answer your question fully, there are some other ways to play scales in that book that they show. One is contrary motion, where you start from the same note and then you come in towards the center. Believe it or not, this is actually, while I do recommend you practice this at some point, this is actually easier than playing them normally. Do you know why? Who knows the answer to this? Why would playing a scale in contrary, going out and back in, be easier than playing them in parallel? You would think it'd be harder, right? Because you're playing different notes now. But it's so easy. I don't even need to think about it. So let me know about that. What you guys think about that. That they're easier, and there's a reason behind it, and you have to tell me what it is. I want you guys to get your brains really geared towards this stuff. The hands do move at the same time, and to elaborate a little further on what you probably mean by this is that the finger crossings happen at the same time. So here you play the first 3 fingers on both hands, and then you cross at the same time. Oop. Still have to think about what I'm doing a little bit, but it's actually a lot easier. But good job. Yeah, good, you guys. You do not have to cross over. So you feel more integrated doing that. Yes. All right, my biggest, let's see what, read some more. Consistent, C major. All right, I answered that question. I'm just making sure. Yeah, that's what I meant. All right, very good, guys. All right, thanks for answering that question. Yeah, we're moving right along. So other things that you should be practicing are rhythm and music theory. One thing I would do, let's talk about rhythm. I didn't go over these as much detail in this specific lesson that this is based on, because we're actually going to have a music theory and rhythm lesson, actually a rhythm lesson very, very soon, and then a music theory lesson fairly soon. So I was going to go into more detail then, but I do want to tell you this, because I do want to go into detail about something I said. So just give me a second. I need to open something up really quick on the computer here. And then at the end, like I said, I have some announcements, because next week, as this is loading, next week we will not have a live stream. And then we'll continue with regular live streams after that. And I want to tell you guys what that is about. All right. All right. Let me find a good piece to talk about really quick. Okay, so first of all, here we go. Let's bring this up. So we are, say you get to this measure right here. Let me get this. There we go. Say you're in this measure right here, right? Or I guess I should just draw a box around it. One thing I want you to do is, say you really struggle with this grouping of notes here. And what a lot of students do is they'll do a lot of guesswork on it, right? They'll just play it over and over again. They'll be like, oh, that was kind of right. Let me try again. Like, that's not quite right. So what I want you to do is, instead of doing guesswork, you want to chart out the rhythms. Now, we talked about this in another video, and we will talk about it in videos coming up in the very near future. But what I want you to start doing is charting out the rhythms, mainly where the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 ands come in. And what I want you to do as well, and 3. So I'm just drawing out the rhythm for the top, rhythm for the bottom. Again, we go over this in a video called How to Count Basic Rhythms that I put out very, very recently. In fact, it's part of a playlist I've linked in a description that you want to watch. I think it's called Playlist for Beginners. So once we're done today, watch that playlist. We'll mention this in the end. Watch that playlist to catch you up. But anyway, the point is, though, is instead of guesswork, you really want to mark out where on each of the 4 beats where everything occurs. And because I marked it out, it is now perfected. And, just that little bit of legwork really helped clean things up. So the point I want to make is, when you're learning pieces and there's rhythms you don't understand, or maybe you don't know how they line up between the right hand and left hand, really take the time to chart them out. And again, I talk about that in some of the other videos on how to do that. But make sure you're doing that. Don't guesswork on anything. Because what will happen is you'll play that over and over again, and eventually you'll be like, yeah, that sounded right. And then you'll go to play it for a teacher or somebody else, and they'll be like, why are you playing that wrong? And because you've been practicing it wrong, because you guessed to begin with, then it's really hard to fix then because of that. All right, let's continue, guys. Music theory was another thing I brought up. We will talk more about that in the future. Like I said, that's why I kind of reserved the full discussion for now. But what I do want to tell you about it, remember earlier I was talking about a scale, like the C major scale, and it went from C to the next C and back down. Well, you want to know with music theory what a scale is, which is basically all of the notes that exist in a key. And a key, this is why I want a full music theory video about this. A key is all the notes that exist in a song. So say a song is in the key of C major. Well, here are the notes that will exist in the song. So you're going to find 99% those keys. Can you have these keys in the song? Yes, but not... They have to add them in a special occasion. It's not like something that just exists in the piece. So the key of C, what that tells you is that these notes exist in the piece. Basically all the white keys, right? And a scale is when you play a key from its starting note, like C, back to C, and all the scale notes in between. Like that. So like the G scale, you'd go from G to G, but you got to be careful because the way the G scale works, you have an F sharp right there. So the main point I'm trying to get across is that knowing your scales goes along with knowing music theory, because when you know your scales, you actually understand the layout of the keys of the notes that exist in the piece that you're trying to play. It was a little tongue twister, but we finally got it out. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that doesn't make sense. I'll try to explain it a little better. But like I said, I think a full music theory video is what we're going to need in this course coming up, and that's what I'm going to deliver on very soon. Now, let's see what you guys have to say. Yes, you don't have to cross over, so you feel more integrated doing that. Playing left hand softer than right hand. Okay, very good. I'm not sure exactly what this, Cedra said this. I'm not exactly sure what this is referring to, but when you're playing your scales, one good exercise, I'm glad you brought this up, is to play one, this is after you learn the scale, by the way, one hand louder than the other. So I'm really trying to play out the right hand more than the left hand, and then you want to try it playing the left hand out more than the right hand. Hear that difference? And that's just like an exercise in dynamics, and that's after you learn your scales. I wouldn't try to do that from the get-go. It's just too much, like with the finger crossings and getting the right notes, it's too much to think about. I'm having a grand time learning music theory. Excellent, excellent. Well, you will learn a lot more about it in the next probably 2 weeks from now. We will definitely tackle that one in more detail. Good one. I have that issue too. Oh, so it's an issue that you have, playing left hand softer than the right hand. That's very interesting. So that's an issue that you have in general. Understood. So to fix this issue, I recommend practicing the C major scale. And I want you to see, just playing those notes, master the scale first, but just playing those notes, can you think about shifting the balance between the hands so that one plays out louder than the other? You can even like way overdo it, like play your left hand pianissimo, like as soft as you can, and your right hand as loud as you can. It definitely takes some thinking to get used to, but if you do it with something simple like a scale that's easy to visualize and easy to practice, that's a lot easier than trying to do it with the pieces you're currently working on. Because again, dynamics is like another layer, something you have to focus on to get it right. If you're still trying to get the notes down, or it has weird rhythms, or it's a fast tempo, it'll be really, really hard to do that. I find myself smashing the left hand at bass keys and scaring myself. That's fun. All right, guys, I want to tell you this. Watch the entire course for beginners. So in the description of this video, I have put a link to what I want you to watch next. Let me make sure that I have this right. Let me make sure I have this right for you guys, because I want to make sure you have the right link. Beginner practice routine. Yeah, so check out I'm going to get you a link right here, but I do have the right link in the description. And let me get you guys this. So when we're done today, I highly recommend you watch this next. Playlist for beginners. Because this video, this live stream, is part of a new course that I'm making for beginners. And the aim of this course is to give beginners like a very basic overview of all the things they need to get started on their way to becoming a well-rounded piano player and musician. So we're doing things like how to read music, how to play piano. Piano exercises is coming up really soon. We talked about that a little bit today. Practice strategies, rhythm, if I haven't mentioned that already. So there's a music theory, all the things you need to know. We're not drilling super deep into each one, but really to give you a good starter music education. And we have completed 4 videos in this course, 4 main videos, and each video has a live stream review that goes along with it. So there's 8 videos in the playlist so far, a video and then the live stream review. I highly recommend you at least watch the main videos that come out, but I also recommend you watch the reviews as well, especially if you are learning this stuff for the first time, because we review a lot of the stuff we talk about in a little more detail and give you an opportunity to practice more. So that's what I wanted to tell you guys, is that this is part of a bigger course. For the rest of this weekend or today or over the next few days, please watch that playlist I gave you, because that is going to catch you up seriously on everything you're going to need to know. We're halfway done this course. We still have another 4 weeks to go. And then after this course is completed, we're going to do a course that's like one level above this. And each throughout the year, we're going to do a new course after we do each 8-video course. And each course will be just a little bit more advanced than the last, because the goal I have for you guys is we're going to take a group of students from the very beginning and we're going to advance together and try to bring everybody up to around the same level or the same page, at least, in terms of the general knowledge that you have. So I just want to tell you guys about that. Other than that, mark this down on your calendars. Next week, we actually will not... Okay, I'm not 100% sold on this, but just say for now, there's no live stream next week. I'm thinking about planning one, but let's just say no for now. You know, maybe I'll just take the weekend off. So no live stream next week, but we will be back on regular live streams every Saturday after that. So we're just taking 1 week break so I can kind of formulate what is coming up. And then we're going to be back. There's no new video tomorrow. So normally there's a live stream on Saturday and a new video on Sunday. Live stream Saturday, new video Sunday. Live stream Saturday, new video Sunday. But this week it's a little weird, where this week we only have a live stream, and next week we're only having a video come out. And then the week after we're back to regular having both. And I will make a community post tomorrow morning when the video usually comes out to kind of just double check and explain everything so that we're all on the same page of when we're coming back and everything. And like I said, maybe I'll do a live stream next week. I'll try to sneak one in, but it looks like we might have to take that week off. All right, any questions, guys? This is now the Q&A portion of the video, although I have been answering questions this whole time. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have anything new. So yeah, I guess I'll tell you for the next few live streams when we meet back again in 2 weeks, I'm reformulating the live streams a little bit to make them more interactive. I guess I don't want to tell you too much right now, so we'll just leave it at that. Any last minute comments or questions today? I want you guys to leave a big thumbs up on this video. It helps other people know that this is a quality live stream or video that they can learn from as well. And then what I highly, highly want you to do, recommend you do, is go in the description as soon as we're done, click on the beginners playlist videos, especially if you're brand new, and I want you to watch the entire playlist. You can just binge it all in one day. It's totally fine, or you can watch it over a week. You know, either one. Tim, can you play the second line of the Czerny exercises? I will try. Which ones do you want me to do? It really depends. Oh, Sam says make sure to join the Discord as well. Thank you, Sam, our moderator. So you can join the Discord. I didn't talk about that as much today, but that is like our community hangout. I should continue to push people over to that, because if anything ever happens to the channel, that's still a way I can get in contact with you. I don't anticipate anything ever happening with the channel because I don't plan on breaking the rules, but gonna be honest, sometimes YouTube channels get hacked. Sometimes the creator messes up. You know what I mean? Like I said, nobody plans for that, but probably a good idea. But anyway, join it anyway. I was able to play the first line so far. Which one? Are you talking about School of Velocity? I will attempt to play it. I'm going to be honest, I haven't played it in a while. I know I can play it. It's just, can I play it right now? Carl Czerny, rather. School of Velocity. Okay. Yeah, sometimes evil companies copy strike you for playing Beethoven. That actually happened fairly recently. Actually, not Beethoven. There was a video I did a few months back that was like reacting to child prodigies. And there was a kid, not Ulysses, what was the kid's name? He was the Russian kid. And his like company, not his company, but the company that works for him, copy striked my entire video, even though I talk about him for like a minute in the video. And I try to explain like this is fair use because it's educational, and I stop the video every few seconds to talk. And I'm going to be honest, I could have probably stopped the video even more than I did, but they weren't having it. They were just like, you either have to take this segment out or we're taking the monetization on the whole video. And I think what I did is I kept it in and I just demonetized the video so everybody loses. Anyway, let's continue here. Um, Not sure what it's called. This huge document, 69 pages. Well, this is 103. Oh yeah, talk to Rick Beato about fair use. Yeah, I know Rick Beato. He puts out a number of videos. He does a good job at that. That's one thing I should probably like try in the future a little bit. Is like he's very good at talking about like newsworthy topics that affect musicians, and he gets a lot of views doing that. And he does a really good job. Um, but he's a real professional. Like he's been around forever. Easy Studies. Okay, Czerny Easy Studies. Let me see if I can find it for you. I find Progressive Studies. Easy Studies, huh? I don't see it. 69-page document. $5.99. Perhaps. Oh, practical exercises for beginners. I have to remember to analyze the piece of music before playing to avoid simple errors. That is a good thing to struggle with, or a common thing to struggle with. Yeah, just keep working on it. I think it will come into play. All right, let's take a look at $5.99 to see if Opus 135. Okay, 135. 139. Excuse me. My self-diagnosed dyslexia has kicked in. And this is number 1. Okay. What are you guys talking about? He's talking about this. Sorry about that. I know some of you guys are probably confused. Okay. So you want me to play number 1, huh? And the second one to it? I can do that. Let me practice it real quick. I'm just going to play it through a few times, and I'm sure by the second or third time I'll have it. So here we go. Let me try it again. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. My fingering was a little bit weird. Oh, there it is. Here's the second line again. Now, I played it. I'm going to play it again one more time, just the beginning and the end. And I have this, sorry, something's like rattling here. Hopefully that fixed it. All right, let me try it one more time. I'm going to play it all the way through, no repeats. Okay, I made one mistake, not so much with the notes, but I started to play the left hand at the end. Staccato, and these are not staccato notes. Notice they have this curved line underneath. So you want to make sure that these a little bit more legato connected instead of disconnected like this. So just to let you know, that's probably what I would continue working on if I continued working on the piece. All right, yes, that one, I'm just getting started on this. Nice. You're very welcome. Now that I have a reference and how it sounds, I can proceed on the second line and beyond. Excellent, excellent. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that helps you. All right, any last minute comments or questions? And then Sylvia saying like I have to remember to analyze the piece of music before playing. That's just something that you'll have to remember. I would write it on the top of your music, like analyze in big letters with big stars. And as you do that on a few pieces and you do remember to do it, it should become more second nature to you. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's it, guys. I'm trying to think what else I have to tell you. I don't know. I think I told you all I have to tell you. Be on the lookout. Watch that video playlist I gave you, and I'm going to say that probably 2 more times before we go. And then remember, tomorrow there's no new video, but I will be posting like an announcement on the channel posts. I guess it's called posts now instead of the community tab. So on the post section on the YouTube channel, I'll post an update of when we're taking off, when we're meeting, and then we'll be back on regular schedule once again. All right, guys, leave a big thumbs up if you really like today's video. I have courses over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, if you want to check those out. Use code YouTube. Remember this, you code YouTube during checkout to get an additional 15% off. And then other than that, check out the videos I gave you in the description. Very, very, very important that you watch and catch up with all of those. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Michael, for coming today. Thank you, X. Thank you, Sam, for being such a wonderful mod. Thank you, George. Thank you, Tammy. Wow, we have a lot of people here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Lily? If I miss your name, I do apologize. Sylvia. Cedra, thanks for coming. Mark, thanks for coming as always, guys. All right. Bye-bye for now. Tim out.